Hey everyone, what's up? It's Leon. We're doing the Q&A thing again today. Thank you to everybody who got their questions in this week. As always, if you've got questions for next week, you can ask me absolutely anything you like, and I will do my best to get back to you next Friday. For now, let's get into the questions. What is your opinion on alternative tunings like B major, C major for Devin Townsend stuff, or D sus4? Have you ever used them? Great question. I have spent a lot of time in my life playing in alternate tunings. I guess with the ragdoll stuff, technically we play in an alternate tuning, even though it's drop C, which is like the least exotic of the alternate tunings. But I remember being a massive Led Zeppelin fan as a teenager, and sorry, this light behind my head kind of looks like a weird little hat or a halo. And believe me, I don't deserve a halo. Yeah, huge Led Zeppelin fan, so obviously I got into the DADGAD stuff and the Open C stuff, and I used it a lot on acoustic guitar, and I wrote a lot of stuff, probably when I was about 16 or 17, going through that phase. And another altered tuning that I spent a lot of time with, and I actually wrote a couple of songs that ended up becoming ragdoll songs in standard tuning, because I'm a King Crimson freak. Robert Fripp's like a new standard tuning where you basically tune in fifths, so I think it's C, G, D, A, E, and then a high G, which is a minor third higher. Playing around with some stuff like that, that's really cool. For the C majors, amazing, like Open C, I really like. So here's some like Lydian riffage a la Devin, using my PRS and the XFX3 and Open C. What do you think of this? Not interested, are you? Should I get a Matrix GT800 or a GT1000 to power one 4x12? Does the 800 have enough headroom? I've had no problems with the 800 for doing gigs. Even with just a 212, it's got plenty of juice. And the nice thing about the Matrix stuff as well is you don't have to worry about like ohmage or anything like that. It sort of automatically calculates how much power it can push through a given load, which is really good. So yeah, I mean, the 800's great. One advantage of the 1000 is if you get like the 2-rack unit, you know, it's got a more efficient fan and it's quieter and stuff like that. So it would more be a question about like, yeah, I don't think there's that much more headroom, but the GT1000 in a 2-rack space, you know, that's a pretty awesome piece of gear. It's really quiet, it's really powerful. Great stuff, Matrix. Do you have any tips for starting a new YouTube channel? Oh, that's a really good question. Obviously, as with any sort of creative endeavor, because I look at YouTube as a creative endeavor, it's also an educational endeavor for me, because I want to, you know, hopefully pass on some knowledge to people, but also pick up knowledge. And I learned so much by doing this channel, whether it's about like camera gear or lighting or audio or guitar or just music in general, because there's so many clever people out there who are always happy to chime in. So that's the big motivation for me, is it's like, you know, sort of joining an online community, and I like the way it works, and everybody is, on my channel anyway, is pretty respectful. Piece of advice I would have is to not take it too seriously. You know, don't start a YouTube channel because you want to become a YouTube celebrity or because you want to get your break in the music industry through it. Start it because you know, either you want to share things that you enjoy, or you think you've got something that you can sort of add to that community that somebody else isn't doing. And yeah, I mean, that's the big one, because people are going to say that you suck all the time. And so not taking it too seriously really, really helps, because somebody says you suck, it's like, dude, it's just YouTube. It's not real life. Just relax, you know? So yeah, it's one of those things, much like playing guitar, much like playing music, where it is its own reward. It's definitely a challenge. It's definitely a challenge for me to basically put out a new video every day. I wouldn't recommend that, you know? Just find a good time to schedule your video during the week. If you do one video a week, or if you do 2 videos a week, do them, you know, more or less at the same time, kind of, and the same day every day during the week, and then people will get used to you putting out stuff like that. So that's a good piece of advice, something I think I've learned one way or another, because I just used to edit a video and then throw it up straight away because I was so excited. I mean, at the moment it's like Thursday afternoon here in Perth, and this video will probably go up Friday evening in Perth, so it gives me time to edit it, upload it, watch it back, make sure there's no dumb mistakes or anything. And yeah, you know, the main thing, as with anything, is have fun, because this has the potential to be lots and lots of fun if you do it the right way. That's my really, really awful advice for YouTubers. Can I show you the riff that was in the live tracking video I did a few months back in the studio? That rhythm riff is stuck in my head, sounded really chunky. First, I'm really, really glad that you enjoyed it. And second, that's a good question. I have to go back and watch that live tracking video, and I haven't done that. So what I want to do when we put this album out, or when we put out the first single, whenever that is, hopefully at some point in the next 12 months, we can get everything done. I'm going to do a playthrough video as well as some lessons for every song on there. So if there's stuff that you're digging, just hold tight, because I will be doing some in-depth tutorials for all that kind of stuff. That's something I'm really looking forward to, because obviously I wasn't doing this stuff when we recorded our last album. So it's going to be a fun opportunity, I think, for me to share some stuff, and for you guys to get an insight into the creative process. And, you know, if there's riffs that you really dig, I'll be breaking down every single one of them. So just be patient if you can. I have to be patient, because I want to get these songs finished as quickly as possible, and we're working to a far more relaxed schedule than I'm used to. So it's a test of my patience as well, believe me. What is a small guitar rack? I'm really glad that somebody noticed that, because I was getting ready to shoot that video and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I had a guitar behind me. The rack is, it is just this like standard, what, 1, 2, 3 space rack. I guess you could probably put 5 guitars on there. I've done that in the past. It is nothing special. I can't even remember where I bought it or who makes it. It might be a UXL stand. What does it say? But yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest stand ever, but it's just a 3-space guitar stand, basically. Folds out, fits in the car, really handy for live gigs, really handy for the studio. I can put it in cool places and people will notice it. So I would highly recommend that. It's sitting on top of my shock mount rack, which looks pretty cool as well. So if you've got like a big piece of furniture or a chest of drawers, stick it up there, maybe bolt it down in case it topples over or anything. But yeah, that was pretty much just for that video. Jesse Tate says, good tube amp and an affordable guitar, or a great guitar and a solid state cheap amp. Ooh, this is a juicy, juicy question. Well, it depends what you mean by like a solid state cheap amp, because something like a Boss Katana is a cheap amp, but I think they sound really good. Plugging like a great, you know, I don't know, Ibanez Prestige or a Sir or a Gibson Custom Shop or something into a Katana might seem a bit silly. My advice would be, if you can get, it depends what your budget is as well. Like, let's assume, say you have, what's a like reasonable budget for a guitar and amp? Let's say you got $2.5 grand to spend, right? Should you spend like $2 grand on a guitar and $500 on an amp, or should you spend, you know, $1,500 on an amp and $1,000 on a guitar? I mean, that might be slightly overkill. Maybe if we said $1,500, should you spend $1,000 on a guitar and $500 on an amp, or vice versa? I think one thing that the modern guitar market definitely has in its favor is that the quality has just risen on low-end instruments like so much. So my advice would be, if you can only afford like a really good one or another, get something like a PRS SE, or get like a Chapman, or get an Ormsby SX or something like that. Spend, you know, around $1,000 on a, I think that's it, the SX. I can't remember, but Perry's from Perth and great at what he does. So yeah, spend around $1,000 on something like that, or, you know, whatever those Ola England solar guitars. They're really, really impressive as well. They look impressive. I haven't played one, disclaimer, but they look pretty cool. So I would definitely go for the like decent amp, okay guitar before you go for decent guitar, okay amp. I think that makes a big difference, because ultimately you're going to want to buy lots and lots and lots of guitars and play them all through the same amp. So get a good amp. My advice would be, if you're a rock or a metal player, go and get a Marshall DSL-50, get a 212 cab, get like 2 or 3 Boss pedals, you know, get a tuner, get a super overdrive, get a DD3 or something, and you'll be able to do everything that you need. And then, yeah, like I said, go and get a PRS SE, or, you know, even Epiphone make great stuff. There's some of the Japanese made stuff like Bacchus and STR do really great affordable instruments. And yeah, just get down to making music, and hopefully it will all be reliable and work well. So I think if you've got upwards of $2,000 to spend, it's not that much of an issue. You know, you can probably spend $1,200 on a rig and $800 on a guitar, or this is all Australian dollars as well. You know, divide by whatever to get American dollars, but gear is also way cheaper in America. I know I bought a PV6505 Plus combo for like $300 or $400 secondhand there, which is just unbelievable. And I used that amp pretty much on the first 4 tours we did of America. Absolutely killed it. It was the last one that we did where I used the Axe-Fx Ultra, and that was fantastic. But yeah, the lower end stuff, yeah, you can just get great stuff for cheap now, you know. Get all of it. That's my advice. This is a good question. This one's from Shane Williams, basically asking about feedback in the Axe-Fx 3 and being able to get feedback at civilized volumes. One way to do feedback with the Axe-Fx is to play loud with it. So to get your speakers cranked and generate harmonic feedback the normal way you would do it. If you want to get the kind of, I'm guessing you're thinking more of something like, can it do what the Digitech Freakout pedal does? And there is a patch somebody made, it's up on the forum, which basically emulates this, which is pretty impressive. So it's, you know, if you want harmonic feedback, you need volume. There's kind of no way around it. You can generate it in other ways, like, you know, the Fernandez Sustainer and stuff like that. Maybe invest in a Fernandez Sustainer if you really want that kind of crazy volume, or get an Ebo. That's another really cool way to get it as well. Investigating and sharing Aussie Gear with subscribers. That is something that is high on my list. I think there are so many fantastic Aussie manufacturers at the moment making really, really great stuff. Anarchy Audio being one of them. I've known Johnny for a long time and we've done a lot of work together, so obviously I'm always happy to help him promote his product because I use it and I really, really like it. But off the top of my head, if you are into pedals, obviously MI Audio, Michael Ibrahim, he is like a legend in the Australian guitar scene, I guess, for making his own stuff. Another guy is Martin A. Smith. He's also in Perth. He makes great guitar pickups. Obviously, I mentioned Ormsby Guitars earlier. I would love to get my hands on some of their stuff and demo it for you guys. And Bondi FX is another one. They make a really great sort of clone-style pedal called the Sick As. I saw they did like a shred version in neon pink or something, which is really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of really great Australian manufacturers. TYM, that's another legendary store in Australia. And yeah, I mean, there's so many people now all around the world, but if you guys are interested in Aussie Gear and there's any Aussie Gear manufacturers watching this, get in touch with me because I would love to showcase your stuff to my audience. Obviously, some of them want to hear about it. Main question, since you had a chance to play KSR Juno at NAMM, what would you compare it to? Did you play any other KSR amps? Are they worth the money? I think you have me confused with somebody else because I've never been to NAMM, so I'll leave that question there. Just out of curiosity though, who would you confuse me with if I was another like guitar person? I know someone's going to say Tor from TC Electronic as well, but my beard's nowhere near as good as that guy's at the moment. All right, here's the lick of the week. Somebody requested some Michael Schenker licks. This is my take on a Schenker style thing. In the key of E minor, so we're using E blues scale, and essentially you're just going to be using that, what I call the extended pentatonic shape. So on the top string you'd be playing fret 12, 15 and 17, and then on the B string you'd be doing the same thing, and on the G string you're just borrowing the flat 5, which is the 15th, fret on the G string. The lick slow sounds like this. And give it that mic vibrato there. Helps if you got like a wah pedal sort of semi-cocked on this as well. So I'll give you a close-up of that. Let's bring this over here. I clearly didn't prepare very well for this, but hopefully you guys can see that. Cool. So let's do that again. It's pulling off from 17 to 12, and then hitting 15 on the B string. So, and then back to 12 on the E. So. And you can pick this a couple of different ways. You can use, I guess, alternate picking, so to be a downstroke on the E and an upstroke on the B. And obviously the next time we go back and do this, we're just going to use 15 instead. So you can play it like that. If you are doing that, try to slant your pick on the upstroke, you know, Troy Grady style. So if you watch my right hand, let's get right in there. So you'd have the pick in a fairly neutral position for this stroke, and then you're going to tilt it down for the next stroke. So. And to break that sequence up, what you're going to do is play this. So it is a pattern of 4 plus 4 plus 6. I think it's 6. Yeah, that's right. So it gives you this sort of odd meter thing, 10 notes. So basically, like, you can think of it as a pattern of 5 or something like that, or a pattern of 10. And then you basically repeat the same thing on the B string and the G string. So. And that pick slant thing really helps if you're doing that. Or you can play it basically economy picking, which would be basically do it with everything with a downstroke. So down. Sorry, start with an up and then everything else is down. So up and a pull off. And then on this note, down, and then follow that downstroke through. And as you can see, I'm absolutely terrible at that. You know, Michael Schenker's great because he's sort of like the genesis for so many players. He's, you know, obviously guys like Slash really loved him. Doug Aldrich really loved him. So many guys in the 80s were influenced by Michael. And, you know, I guess economy picking it like this might be the way that Doug plays it, and then, or Slash plays it. Or you can do the sort of, I guess, inside picking thing. Which is the way I would play it. I don't know, Kirk Hammett might play it like that. Here's me praising Kirk Hammett. What has happened to the world? Nah, Kirk's great. People hate on him too much. That band wouldn't be the same without Kirk's leads or Lars's drumming, so, you know, keep that in mind before you ever bash Metallica. But James is the best musician in that band anyway. So, but yeah, anyway, that's the lick. So you're basically going to repeat that as much as you like, the pattern of 10. And then do it on the next set of strings. And then when you're done with that, just grab the 15th on the B string, which is the note D, and bend it up to E. And you can, you know, do some like Schenker-y kind of stuff before it. And go and listen to UFO's Strangers in the Night and the version of Rock Bottom they do, because that is one of the greatest live guitar solos you will ever hear in your life. And he kind of throws all this stuff in and so much more. He was just such a fluid player at his best. Michael Schenker is like one of those guys who his career might have been a bit patchy, but when he was at his best, he was pretty hard to touch. You know, he's one of those guys like, you know, his career value wasn't super high maybe not as high as, you know, some of the other guys from that generation. It was definitely high, but his peak value, man, that guy was like untouchable at his best. So hopefully that gives you some ideas, and, you know, slap a wah pedal on that and play it a little bit sloppy and you're basically going to sound like Kirk Hammett. So that's pretty cool. Or, you know, economy pick it and throw in some more legato stuff and you're going to sound like Doug Aldrich. So that's even cooler. Or you can just try to sound like yourself. Yourself playing a Michael Schenker influence league. Imagine trying to sound like yourself. Alright, for this section I'm going to test some of your AX8 presets. The first one is from Todd McMullen. Thanks for sending this through, Todd. It's a Mesa 2C++ preset. I've got my AX8 down here. It looks like there's 3 scenes, and then there's a flanger, phaser, 2 delays. Interested to try that, and a drive block. I'm using my PRS Custom 24. So we've got a JB and a Jazz in this, and the 5-way rotary. So the first scene is a clean scene. I'll be on one of the split modes. Let's have a listen. This is really good. This pretty much sounds like exactly what I would do with this amp on the clean channel. I don't normally use a flanger, so it's nice to play around with the flanger block on there. I've got the phaser on at the moment, but I'll go back to the flanger and 2 delays, so that's really nice and lush. Beautiful. So that's scene 1, scene 2. That's wicked with that extra delay on there. So that's Todd's preset. That's really cool. That sounds like something I would dial in. It's a little bit darker. I don't know which cab he's using. It's probably a stock cab, but I guess that would probably be the difference. And it goes to show how much of a difference the cab IR makes. The next preset I want to import, this is from Burke. And I chat to Burke quite a fair bit. I've tried his presets before and I know they always sound really good. So this is called JCM800 JTM45 Rack, and there's a bunch of different presets. I'm just importing it now. So let's have a listen to scene 1. That's sick. That's like Randy Rhoads territory to me. That's scene 1, scene 2. play the solo to No More Tears is not going to work right now. That's awesome. I'm guessing this is a heavily Zach-inspired preset. Scene 3, I'm also out of tune, so maybe I'll fix that using the tuner. Okay, still out of tune. This is the most fun part of the video, isn't it? Watching me tune a guitar. A big factor with all of this as well is, you know, different guitars are going to sound different with this setup, so... That sounds big. That's perfect for sort of Aussie stuff, I would say. I wish I had an EMG loaded Les Paul to try this with, because I think that would really bring this to life. But that one sounds really good as well. You guys have given me some ideas. I want to check, actually, because I've got the editor open here. What amps are you using? So Brit 800, but it's not tearing my ears off. I want to see if there's any advanced tweaks in here. Sorry if I'm giving your secrets away, by the way, Burke. Graphic EQ is flat. Preamp looks pretty much stock. Power amp. Master volume location, post phase inverter, that's the trick. So I just did a video about this, actually, so you can check out that Pimp My Marshall video, but Burke's already using it, so awesome stuff. All right, if you guys have other presets you want to send me and basically jam on and play through, these do sound really good, so send me your stuff. I wouldn't change too much with either of these. I'll probably just change the cab, because I have cabs that I like, that's sort of the personalized part of your tone, but otherwise, good job. You know, it's pretty awesome to see how good you guys are at dialing these things in. Thanks again, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button. Feel free to share the video and show any of your friends, and get your questions in for next week. I'm away all of this weekend, so I won't have a huge amount of time to bust out any more content, but there are some scheduled videos coming up if you're into the AX8 and the Axe effects and all that kind of stuff, so stay tuned.